What's up, Big 12 Nation? It is Tuesday night in America. That could be only one thing. It is time for another edition of your favorite YouTube Big 12 college football show. That's right. It's the one. It's the only. It is the Biggest 12 with me, your host, Clint Foster. Wherever you are, thanks so much for making us a part of your Tuesday night. And boy, howdy, we got a great show for you this week, talking about all the comings and goings in the Big 12 and a delicious sunflower showdown. Is this the year that Kansas State finally gets off the schneid? I say it every year. Maybe I'll be right one time. Maybe if they can't do it this year, I don't know if they'll ever do it. But we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, I need some stuff from you. I need you to subscribe to the show, baby. We are 20 subscribers away from 1,000, y'all. You're getting us there. You're doing it. So keep doing it. At Big 12 VOCFB, at TCU VOCFB. Really pay attention to that Big 12 one. We're trying to get that to 1,000. Let's make it like an international movement, okay? I want people in like Azerbaijan watching the biggest 12, right? How cool would that be to have like a Cincinnati fan and like not the state of Georgia, but like the country of Georgia. Okay, let's make it happen. But we got to get to 1,000 first. That's when things really start kicking into high gear. So help me do it. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell your exes, tell your lovers, everybody, tell your mailman. All right. Without further ado, let me welcome in my guests for the evening. He's back. You know him. You love him. He's cuddly. He's furry. A little less. He's shorn the beard. But here's Brownie, ladies and gentlemen. He is back. And for the first time on the Biggest 12 after so many attempts by yours truly, he is here representing the Jayhawks, Andy Mitz, ladies and gentlemen. Boys, how y'all doing on this fine Tuesday night?
Doing great.
I'm cold.
Yeah. Well, hey, things are getting cooler in Texas as well. We're actually getting some, dare I say it, fall weather. I mean, this doesn't usually happen around here. Actually, oh my God, it's not a million
I thought
degrees.
fall weather was a myth down in Texas.
Yeah, usually it is. Usually we get like 2 days of fall.
Texas
like
and Florida,
fall.
it doesn't exist down there.
Yeah, we get like 2 days of fall, and then it's all of a sudden summer again, and then oh my God, it's frozen in February. So like yeah. But hey, we're actually getting a little fall this October. It's kind of nice. The leaves haven't changed, mind you, but it's like we got temperatures in the 70s. It's very nice. Okay, so
I would take a 70-degree day right now.
Yeah,
like 40s to 50s right now.
Yeah. Oh man, I would take 40s and 50s. Are you kidding? It's always greener on the other side. Yes. Oh, and lightning delays. We have had that. So I guess it's kind of also been spring here too. We had a 6-hour game at App MarkRogersTV Stadium on this Saturday. Very fun times.
Insane.
Well, you know how things go around here. We're going to start out with a little dope and cope. If this is the first show you're tuning into in a while, you've been living under a rock. This is where we talk about something we saw last week that was dope. That was amazing. We can't wait to talk about it. And somebody who is coping because they suck. All right. So, Brownie, why don't you get us started out?
My dope for the week is Iowa State not losing to a team called Bye.
Hey, we love it.
Yeah.
Kansas did the same thing.
It's
fantastic.
It was a wonderful time. Honestly, I think like my dope from last week overall was can we really call them the amount of upsets overall? Because I mean we had Miami go down to Louisville. Nebraska shouldn't be ranked 25, but they got beat up by Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like a couple of other upsets, if you want to call it. Georgia beat Ole Miss, if you consider that an upset. I don't know. I think that was about a 50-50 year. But TAMU barely snuck out a win against Arkansas. Like there was just a lot of games that I thought were good to watch the highlights for. I had bye week, so I didn't even worry about football. For my I got an actual cope and an honorable mention.
Okay.
My honorable mention is Texas Tech. They are going through it, especially with the tortillas.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is their biggest conspiracy right now, outside of getting allegedly screwed on 2 calls. But my actual cope is the rising middle of the season coaching carousel And teams that believe that they're blue bloods or deserve the top candidates still believing that in the day and age of NIL. For example, Florida. Florida just got rid of Napier. Penn State got rid of Franklin. I mean, we obviously saw the Gundy firing on the wall, but Sam Pittman's out at Arkansas. You saw Deshaun Foster go and get canned from UCLA after 2 years, so he didn't even get a full recruiting cycle. Brent Pry was canned after 4 at Virginia Tech. Colorado State just fired Jay Norville after 4 years.
Yeah.
Which I thought was shocking. Trent Dilfer at UAB got sacked. I mean, the amount of teams that are now just firing coaches, I think to fire coaches is the most interesting part. And the cope of the entire thing is thinking that you're going to go out and get like Urban Meyer or Nick Saban or another one of these legendary coaches that specifically retired because of the NIL. And that you're just going to go out and splash a bunch of cash and all of a sudden become the next Alabama. When in reality, with today's NIL and moving forward, once we hit that salary cap, I mean, that's going to start leveling it out. And realistically, the teams that are going to be good is the teams with the bigger bankroll.
Yeah. Well, we got Florida talking about trying to steal Lane Kiffin, too. I don't know if y'all saw that on social media.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, no, it's not for sure.
Yeah.
Come on.
Why on earth would you leave Ole Miss and walk into that situation? It couldn't be me.
I mean, you could almost say that a lot of these like traditional blue bloods are becoming the old Ohio State, where either you retire or you get canned in 2 years because you suck. Like, that's what I think a lot of these teams are starting to realize. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of teams, especially when you get into these bigger conferences, you're going to have to be okay winning 6 to 8 games on a regular basis, unless you have an excessively good roster or have the money to make a successful roster. Like that's what it's going to end up being. It's going to become the winner is whoever has the biggest bankroll.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, Brownie, I'm a little upset because you literally took both my dope and my cope for the week. But, I will say it would have been even more dope if Missouri had lost to Auburn in overtime instead of barely pulling that one out.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think kind of as like a secondary honorable mention for me, dope wise, is just I thought the Big 12 had a really good slate of games. Like they were very entertaining games for the most part, with the only exception, being that Cincinnati Oklahoma State game. All the rest of them were very entertaining. I tried to watch as many of them as I could. And yeah, I mean, the fact that, that we are seeing very entertaining Big 12 football is good, because I don't think that we're unfortunately going to get to see very much Big 12 football in the postseason, just because college football playoff is probably only going to take one Big 12 team. So, which is
so dumb,
as stupid as it gets. Right. But, in terms of cope, I mean, I agree. I think that, the whole like teams that are making the coaching changes now, thinking that that's going to give them a leg up to find the coach that they want. Like, I think at this point, you might as well just let them finish out the season, figure out what you actually have. I mean, how many times have we seen teams that have disappointing starts that then turn it around?
Yeah.
Or,
hey, TCU
or even, teams where there's one bad year and then all of a sudden everything goes back to normal then the next year. Like
Michigan, Ohio State.
Like, I feel like Florida especially is, at the point, I mean, they had a huge upset of Texas, recently. I mean, it's just like, you look at the way that this college football season is set up. You're going to have tons of upsets. We've already had so many upsets. So a team losing a game that they probably shouldn't lose. I mean, even Penn State, they've now lost 4 in a row, but I even think before Franklin was fired, like, yeah, those sucked, but they were really close games where ridiculous stuff kind of happened in them. And, I don't know that the fact that Franklin wasn't able to put it together this year meant that he couldn't be successful at Penn State. But Penn State, I think, especially has the whole Nebraska syndrome, back when they fired Frank Solich for only winning 10 games a year. they've never been the same since.
Yeah.
And so you run the risk of that happening now, where you're always chasing that new coach who you think is going to be able to be the one to elevate you. And now they're not going to get the leash to be able to build a program anymore.
Yeah,
now it's going to be you have to immediately be successful or else you're gone.
Well, and it's such an interesting conversation too, especially in this day and age, because I feel like so many programs, and especially fans, we tend to have an itchy trigger finger, and want to pull the ripcord and be like, oh no, this coach is terrible. We need somebody better. But I think there's just so much anxiety too right now in this day and age of college football of like, you have to be winning, you have to be marketable, because what's going to happen if the conferences change again, or if all of a sudden there's a super conference or a super league and you don't want to be left out, right? You don't want to be that. I mean, Clint, I love you, Clint Moses, but you don't want to be that Oregon State or that Washington State on the outside looking in, right? And I think that's also contributing to a lot of these schools being like, oh my God, we're not performing where we need to be. We got to find that guy. But in doing so, you're limiting your ability to, like you said, Andy, build a program. It's not something that happens overnight.
And kind of to that point, Kansas found themselves in that exact situation when they hired Lance Leipold, right? Like the idea was, oh, all of this realignment's happening. Like the Big Ten might be coming back for another team in 2 or 3 years. And no, that didn't happen. But Kansas also kind of took that approach of, you get a guy that isn't going to be a flashy, all of a sudden we're winning, 10 games a year when before we were winning 3. Like, you're going to find a guy that's going to build a foundation for your program. It's going to allow you to be a consistent program, because I guarantee you that when you get there, like when it comes time, they're not going to grab whoever had 1 year of really, really big success and 3 years where you kind of sucked. They're going to look for the consistent, not necessarily winner, but the consistent program that is routinely getting to bowl games or putting themselves in bowl contention. And it's just a stable program. That's what's going to get you there if they want to go ahead and make those changes. That's why like a team like Kansas, I think, did a really good job in getting a guy like Leipold, who, Kansas fans, myself included, are kind of at the point where they're like, hey, like, we want to see more. We want to see them compete for a Big 12 title. But having recently been, one of, if not the worst Power 5 football team in all of, college football, like, I know how easy it is for your program to completely fall off a cliff. And so a lot of these teams, I think, are risking that of, we're taking something that, isn't exactly what we want now, but is okay and is going to keep us where we need to be, in the hopes that we can hit that home run higher. And there's just not that many home run guys out there.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the same way with Iowa State. Iowa State was also doormat for better part of a decade. Matt Campbell came in and he raised the expectation to bowl games. And I mean, I still talk to the older generation that is perfectly fine with 7-5 and 8-4 seasons, or like a respectable bowl game. And like, what's wild to me is a lot of the younger generation, and I think this is going to be the problem with a lot of these teams moving forward, is once the younger generation starts getting into that booster mentality where they have seen success and have lived upon that success, like, that's where it's going to be like a 10-win season isn't good enough for Matt Campbell. Like, we need to get rid of him.
Well,
it's never happened to us except for 1 year.
Right. Yeah. I think the other problem, though, that you look at there is you've seen so many, and they get amplified all over the place, of coming out of nowhere stories where someone gets to turn around really quick. Well, for every single time that somebody has taken a team out of nowhere and made them a contender all of a sudden, there's been at least 3 other teams that failed to live up to expectations and had a bunch of problems. But we highlight the really, really good stories. And so everybody thinks, oh, we just have to find the right hire, and then we can be the next, come out of nowhere team that can compete for a national title. It's like, no. That may happen once or twice, but then that also sets you up very badly for being the team that disappoints the next year. And then you're getting rid of a guy and trying to do the whole new thing. So it's the whole, we think, like, the fact that you can turn a program around really quick, usually it's a very short-term turnaround. And I don't think a lot of people are ready for that.
Yeah. It takes, and especially in college sports, it takes far longer than a year or two to build a team. Like, it's not like the NFL where, they're all professionals that have been doing it for longer than 4 years on a stage. And yeah, maybe you have a couple of rookies or a couple first or second years out there or whatever, but like in the NCAA, you only have 4 years max, like 5
Right.
years for redshirt or whatever. Like you're gonna tell me that you're gonna come in and be able to. I mean, we saw Texas Tech where they weren't firing on all 4 cylinders against Arizona State. Like plug and play sometimes just doesn't work.
Especially with 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yeah, like you have egos, you have skill caps, you have other things that are going on. Like they got to focus on school.
Well, and
Like
the other thing too is like even in the NFL, like
school.
you're not going to have very many, like you're not going to have huge differences in the other teams typically. Like you don't see gigantic overhauls from all the NFL teams. So for the most part, you're in a division where you know what the philosophy is for the most part of the other teams you're going to be facing. You can kind of plan for that, and you can try to do something a little different. But for the like at the college level, you play so many different teams, and even within your own conference, now you're not playing everybody every year, and so you have so many different styles and so much potential for all of that, all those differences and huge shakeups on those teams as well. So, yeah, it's a lot harder to be consistent because all the variables change so much faster in college.
Mm-hmm. Well, for my dope and cope, I actually have a double dope. All right. Dope number one is some of the, if not greatest, certainly most fun fans in all of college football. Oklahoma State, y'all. We had a parade of bananas this past weekend. And, you love to see folks making the best out of a bad situation. Last week, it was the waving shirts in section 231 or 213 or whatever. And now we have a banana conga line. And, I'm 100% here for it. You love to see
Please
it.
tell me that this was arranged by Farmhouse or something.
I don't know if it was. I don't know who arranged it. Somebody certainly had to arrange it. Yeah. So that's my dope number one. Dope number two is TCU's offensive line actually came to play against Baylor. Now, hey, we tried our dadgum hardest to lose that game after the third lightning delay when there was 4 minutes left on the clock. But for most of that game, it was a dominant performance, and the TCU offensive line played great, and we ran the ball. Holy crap. What do you know? When you give it to Kavorian Barnes, good things happen. It's almost like nobody ever thought of that before. Nobody's ever said such a thing. Frogs rushed for 196 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kavorian Barnes had over 100. And Trent Battle on a beautiful, listen, I'm an offensive coordinator for middle school, but I'm also an offensive line coach, and there's nothing that gets me going quite like a pulling guard, okay? TCU pulled those guards, opened up a hole you could drive a truck through, and Trent Battle went 60 yards for a touchdown. Chef's kiss. That is my dope. Absolutely. We love to see TCU running the ball effectively. My cope goes to College Game Day, man, because what the hell? I'm like, listen, we all know that you've got a contract with SEC, ESPN, but like at least make it appear that you give a damn about the sport that you cover. All right. We got College Game Day has gone to exclusively SEC and Big Ten games. They did not go to the Holy War this past week. I'm all in for Big Noon Kickoff, right? They went to the Holy War. And then this week, they're going to freaking Vanderbilt for Vanderbilt, Missouri, when they've got literally the number 1 and number 2 teams in FCS, North Dakota State and South Dakota State, playing each other. I mean, like, that show used to be a celebration of college football and college football fans. Now it's just an SEC propaganda hour. And I can't stand it. I cannot stand it.
Join the club.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I am all Big Noon now.
Yeah.
That and TNT. I have absolutely loved what TNT has done with their Big 12 coverage. It's been absolutely fantastic. I know that Philip over on the 10-12 podcast has been a huge proponent of what they have done. And I mean, it's must-watch football or must-watch TV now if you care at all about the Big 12, because they dive into those storylines. They really pay attention to the Big 12, and they cover it the way that ESPN covers the SEC, which isn't something that we're used to seeing, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Somebody needs to.
The hype, man. We got to get the hype.